I'm Marie Knight, Product Manager here at threatER. The purpose of today's video is to provide you an overview of the data connectors available in the threatER portal. As a threatER customer, you have access to over 30 out-of-the-box allow and block feeds. We also have a marketplace that allows you to purchase additional threat intelligence. But what if you have access to other third-party data that you want to block or allow in the threatER platform? You can utilize our built-in data connectors to retrieve threat intelligence from those external sources. There are 3 different connectors that I'm going to review in this video. I'll provide the necessary configuration steps for each, as well as configuration issues that customers have run into. We'll first start with our CSV file connector. Before configuring the plugin in the threatER portal, you'll need to have the CSV file you'll be retrieving the data from in the correct format. Whether you're creating an IP or domain list, the file must use a comma as the delimiter, have a header row, and have the following columns and rows. There needs to be an IOC column. For IP lists, this column needs a header of IP/maskbit. For domain lists, the header should be domain. There needs to be rows for the IOCs. For IP lists, those rows should contain the IP address. You can optionally specify the maskbit for the address. If you do, the format of the entry should be IP/maskbit. If the maskbit is not included in the entry, it will be automatically set to 32. If creating a domain list, the rows need to contain domains in the following format: domain name dot top level domain. You will also need a column for expiration. The header should be expire date, 1 word. If providing an expiration for an entry, the date needs to be in the UTC format shown here. If there is no expiration date, the cell can remain blank or set to 0. Once you have the file in the correct format, you want to store this file in one of the following locations: Google Drive, OneDrive, AWS, GitHub, or public server. Depending on which location you choose, there are sharing permissions that need to be set. The sharing permissions per file location are as follows. For Google Drive, it must be set to anyone with the link. For OneDrive, it must be set to anyone with the link under who would you like this link to work for, and in the portal plugin configuration, you must append &download equals 1 to the end of the URL. If using AWS, GitHub, or public server, the file must be publicly accessible without requiring credentials. Once your file is formatted properly, stored in one of the acceptable locations, and the file permissions are appropriately set, it's time to configure the connector in the threatER portal. Once you are logged in, navigate to Collect in the left-hand navigation menu. Click on the Create button. Give your list a unique name. From the Source dropdown, select Plugin. From the list type, select the list that you will be creating. In this case, I'm going to choose Block. From the Indicator dropdown, choose the IOC type. In this example, I'm going to be creating a block IP list, so I'm going to choose IP. You have the option of providing a description of the list. Doing so will help you and others in your organization know what this list contains. Click the Next button. From the Plugin dropdown, select CSV file connector. Provide an interval value. This is the time in minutes between each pool of data threatER makes from the file source. We generally recommend an interval of 60. Select your file location, and then provide the URL of the file. Once you've entered your parameters, click the Next button. Select the policies you want this list to be enforced by. Remember, if you don't select a policy, your enforcer will not take action on any of the indicators in the list. Once you've made your selection, select the Create List button. Once this list is created, it may take several minutes to retrieve the indicators. You'll need to refresh your screen after a period of time to verify threatER has synced with the file and retrieved indicators. Here are some possible configuration issues you may run into with the CSV file connector. The CSV file is missing the header row, or the header row is misconfigured. The entries in the file do not meet the format requirements that were outlined in the previous slide. The CSV file does not have the correct permissions, or the URL provided in the plugin configuration is invalid. I'd now like to review a couple examples of CSV file input and how those entries will be retrieved and displayed in the threatER portal. My first example is a CSV with IPs to create a block IP list. In this CSV, I have IPs that do not have mask bits included in the entries and a couple that do. I also have various entries for the expiration date. Some entries include an expiration date in the necessary format, while others are left blank or have an expiration of 0. How will threatER Enforce retrieve the data and display it in the portal? As you can see, the IPs with and without mask bits were ingested. The entries without mask bits provided were given a mask bit of 32. For the entries with expiration dates in the correct format, the portal will convert the time to display in your browser's time zone and display the date with a format of month, day, year. My second example is a CSV of domains to create a domain block list. In this CSV, I have 10 domains in the correct format and 1 invalid domain. There are valid expiration date entries and 2 not in the correct format. Let's see how this CSV was ingested by threatER. Only 8 entries were ingested and displaying in threatER. The invalid domain entry and the 2 entries with invalid expiration date formats were dropped. I'd now like to go back into the portal and show you other configuration issues. In the first example, the URL I provided at the time of plugin configuration was bad. In this case, I simply just deleted a couple characters from the URL. As you can see, the plugin is not syncing, therefore it is not retrieving any indicators. In the second example, I did not make the file publicly available. The plugin is syncing with the file server, but because the file is restricted, threatER is not able to access and retrieve the indicators. The next connector I'm going to review is our basic HTTP. Basic HTTP is an authentication mechanism where the server requests a username and password from the web client. The client passes the authentication information to the server in an authorized header, authenticates the user, and returns the requested resource. With this connection, users can set up the basic HTTP plugin in threatER to access the authorization header, decode the provided credentials, and look up list information in a secure format. Setting up this plugin is very straightforward. In Collect, click on the Create button. Give your list a unique name. From the source dropdown, select Plugin. Select the list type you'd like to create, I'm choosing block, and select the indicator type. Provide a description if you'd like, then click on the Next button. From the plugin dropdown, select Basic HTTP, provide an interval value, then enter the service URL that threatER should sync with. None is the default authentication type, and if this remains selected, no credentials need to be provided. Some services require a membership, which will require you to select the basic radio button and then input a username and password for that service. Once you've entered all of your parameters, click the Next button, select the applicable policies, and then click on the Create List button. Just like the CSV file connector, it may take several minutes for threatER to access and retrieve the data. You'll want to refresh the page after a period of time to verify the plugin did in fact sync and pull indicators. Some common configuration issues with this plugin are an invalid URL is provided, invalid credentials or no credentials were provided if authentication is required. There could also be issues with the third-party service you are attempting to connect to. If there are issues on their end, it could cause problems with threatER's ability to sync to that service and retrieve indicators. The last connector available in the threatER portal is our basic STIX taxi plugin. Structured threat information expression, STIX, and trusted automated exchange of indicator information, taxi, are community standards developed by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in an effort to improve the detection and mitigation of cyber threats. STIX provides details of the threat, while taxi determines the flow of information. With this connection, relevant indicators can be automatically shared and processed with threatER. To set up this plugin, click on the Create button and Collect. Give your list a unique name. Select Plugin from the source dropdown. Choose Block as your list type and choose the indicator type. Enter a description if you'd like, and then click on the Next button. From the plugin dropdown, select Basic STIX Taxi. Provide your interval value And in the HTTP URL field, enter the service URL that you want to retrieve data from. In this case, I'm going to use the service URL from eISAC. In the feed name field, enter the name of the feed associated with the Styx taxi page. In the TTL or time to live field, enter the desired duration in hours. In this case, I'm going to enter 720, which is 30 days. Initial pool hours indicates the number of hours of data you want to pool when you initially sync with the service. In this case, I'm going to enter 168, which is 7 days. None is the default authentication type, and if this remains selected, again, no credentials need to be provided, but most services do require a membership, which will require you to select the basic radio button and then input the username and password for that service. eISAC as well as the other ISACs require a membership with them, so I'll need to select basic and then enter my membership credentials. Once you're done, click the next button, select the applicable policies, and then click on Create List. Like the other connectors reviewed, it can take several minutes for threatER to sync with and retrieve indicators. Continue to check back and refresh to the page to verify the connection. And as you can see, both our CSV demo and our basic HTTP demo plugins have synced and have pooled indicators successfully. Some common configuration issues with this plugin are invalid parameters are provided, such as the HTTP URL or the feed name. Invalid credentials were provided or none were provided if authentication is required. And then again, you can run into issues with a third-party service you are attempting to connect to. The last thing I'd like to review are the list types you can create with the 3 connectors. As you can see, our CSV file connector allows you to create any of the list combinations available with threatER, while the basic Styx taxi connector only provides access to block IP and block domain lists. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions or if you run into any issues while configuring one of these connectors, please do not hesitate to reach out to our customer success team. You can also reference the articles available on our support site that outline the configuration of these connectors. Thanks again and have a great day.